want to share with you what we're doing to make our brands much more profitable and how we're getting an edge over a competition. And to be honest, it's actually very simple. The two things that we do is, one, we do more of the things that actually work really well and that do a lot of money, and we do none of the things or fewer of the things that are actually draining our cash. And that sounds stupid, right? It sounds simple enough. Like, of course, of course you would do that. So I want to prove to you today that we actually cannot measure that. We actually don't know what works and what doesn't work. Then I'll show you the way how we work around it and how we actually get those information, and then how you can apply the same. All right, let's jump in. Very first, I want to show you this. So this is how we used to see our business. This is how we used to see the brands. It's kind of the sales funnel. So on the top here, we have marketing. So maybe we started with some ads. Maybe we did Facebook ads, Google ads. Maybe you had another PR campaign. Maybe it was KOLs. Maybe it was TikTok. Maybe it was whatever channel this is, right? This is kind of the marketing that you do. In the beginning, that's very simple. There's one thing that happens, one channel, and then you sell one or two products. You get people to the website, and then some of those people buy. That's essentially the funnel. That's how it works. And then what we measure is kind of the ROAS, right? So we see on Facebook, maybe there's a ROAS 3. Maybe on Google, there's a ROAS 4, right? And we measure these things. On CPM KOL, on PR and KOL, maybe we measure the CPMs. That's pretty much as far as it goes. But there's actually a problem with this, because each of the platforms, they're actually very inaccurate. So they're not reporting accurately, and that's due to updates of iOS and all of these things. So let me actually show you a couple of things on how that looks like. So what we did is we created a third-party pixel, or we use a third-party pixel that basically gives us accurate, unbiased information. So that's a pixel on the side that then looks at, does the person come from Facebook? Do they come from Google? Do they come from organic? Do they come direct? Where do they come from? And I want to show you on this example here, we see, for example, Google Ads. This is the interesting part what we want to look at. We have the ROAS. So Google is telling us we have a 1.3 ROAS, but actually our ROAS from Google is 4.9. And Facebook is telling us we have a 1.24 ROAS, but actually it's a 1.5 ROAS. So both of these cases are actually under-attributing. Google is way under-attributing. So what that means is we could spend so much more money on Google because actually it's very profitable and we're actually making a ton of money with it. So we should take more budget and put that into Google and push that platform much more. The other problem in knowing what works and what doesn't work is attribution. And attribution, that's a big problem. So imagine this. A customer goes and looks for you on Google, and they click on your Google ad. And then your Google ad gets them to the website. But then they don't buy. And later, they browse Facebook where you retarget them. And then they come back to your website. But then they still don't buy. But what they do is they sign up to your newsletter. And your newsletter, maybe you use Klaviyo or something like that. And then the person bought. Who made the sale? So if you now look at your analytics, Google Ads will tell you Google Ads made the sale. Facebook will tell you Facebook made the sale. And Klaviyo will tell you Klaviyo made the sale. So now you have a 3 times over attribution. So that means Google claims it, Facebook claims it, and Klaviyo claims it. So each of the platforms is going to give you a different ROAS. Each of the platforms is going to tell you, I made the sale, I need more budget, and you need to do more for me and pay more attention to me. But the truth is you only made one sale. You only have one customer. But 3 platforms will claim they got the customer. So that's a big problem. And that one, again, we solve with that third-party pixel that we install on the Shopify store to actually understand these numbers. There's another caveat to that, though, which is even if the customer bought, and even if it's tracked that they went to Google and Facebook and Klaviyo, it still doesn't mean that they either use Google Ads or Facebook or Klaviyo to make the purchase. Let me explain. This one is a little bit tricky. Now, initially we saw it like this, right? We have the marketing, people go to the website, and then they buy. Now, if people buy, what you actually get is customers. And what we realized is as soon as we want to scale a brand past 3-4 million, there's actually something we have to pay attention to, which is the customers. So some of these customers, and I'm sure you've known that, they buy more than once. And we call that lifetime value. So for example, Starbucks has a lifetime value of $6,000. That means in their lifetime, on average, every customer that buys from Starbucks comes back so many times to Starbucks and buys so many times again that they end up spending $6,000 on buying coffee. Now, of course, you don't sell coffee, you don't sell something, in that nature, but the principle still applies. People come back to you and they buy again, they buy a new product, they buy a replacement because their old product broke, or they buy parts that work with your product or other accessories or things like that. Like, people come back and buy from you. So we take a few customers that bought, that gave you a little bit of money, and then they make you more money. The other thing that is an even bigger leverage is your referrals. And that's your word of mouth. So this is really where you turn these few customers into all of this revenue. And how you do that? Word of mouth basically just means one person introduces another person, and then they come back to the top of your funnel. And then the top of your funnel actually goes bigger. Your sales funnel actually becomes bigger because you get more people in from other people that talk to their friends. So their friends come to your business and go into that funnel. And now because you have more people in the funnel actually becomes bigger on the bottom, and more of those people buy again, and then more of those people tell their friends about you, and then their friends come, and then their friends buy. So these people bring in even more people, your funnel gets even bigger, and you end up with this giant funnel, and that's how you actually grow the business. The cool thing about that is it's hyper profitable because you don't have to pay for those customers. You don't have to spend advertisement money because it's just the customers that you already have. That is your leverage. That is what you use instead of using the marketing on the top. Now the concept seems kind of cool, but I want to show you how that actually looks like. And this one is so crazy. So as soon as we figured this out, we went all in to really push the brand funnel. That's how we call this bottom type of the funnel. And here's what you can see. We do a survey. So we ask people when they purchase their product, we ask them, where did you find us? How did you hear about us? This is the results that come back. 23% say they already bought before. That's the lifetime value customer. 22% say they got referred by a friend. How crazy is that? That's half of the business, that's half of the customers that we get, half of all the sales actually come from customers that buy again or that refer their friends. So now if you look at your analytics again, we have to take that into consideration. We made sure that the third-party pixels that we have, the measurement tools that we use, they have AI integrated where they put all this data together. Now they show us how many people come from referrals, how many people come from because they bought a second time, how many people come from Google, how many people come from Facebook, how many people come from email, how many people come organically through the organic traffic, and we put all this data together and really measure the outcome. So now with knowing that, here's actually how we use these things and apply them to grow the business. So in the very beginning, we use the channel ROAS and check that. But now we know it doesn't really work well because the attribution is wrong and it doesn't take into consideration the brand funnel. So here's how we deal with that. Basically now we're creating a blended ROAS. So basically now instead of having a channel ROAS, we blend all the ROAS together from Facebook, from Google Ads, even from the organic. So organic comes from word of mouth, but it can also come from you do PR, you do KOL, to do any awareness marketing, and then from that marketing, people also come back. And then we look at the different products from that. So we might have product A, product B, product C. And in those products, per product, then we measure what is the total spend that we spend on any of those channels that resulted in revenue for this product. Gets interesting, right? We call this blended ROAS. So here's an example. I want to show you this because this one is so crazy. So if we look at the product analysis here, we can see that this first product has a ROAS 4, the second product has a ROAS 5. But the blended ROAS on that is 6 and 19. So even though on the channel, maybe there's the ads channel, it shows a decent ROAS, we could push that so much harder. We can push that product so much more because right now it isn't pushed, but it's generating a lot of sales. Once people have the product, they talk good about it. Once people use this product, the awareness that comes around it brings in more customers that right now you're not tracking. But actually, those are the products that are making you a lot of money. So that's where we're pushing more on marketing spend, on budgeting really for those items. So the one thing that we really pay attention to is we're trying to make time work for us instead of against us. You know, in the beginning, when you scale the business, it seems like the faster time goes by, the faster you have to fight. You have to fight competition, CPMs are going up, cost per click are getting more expensive, your ROAS is constantly going down, you have to launch new products to kind of combat that, you have to expand into new channels to kind of grow. And that can become very stressful. The team grows, your overhead grows, your profits shrink, and it seems like the faster time goes, the less money we actually make. So our goal is, how can we make time work for us? And that's really where the brand funnel comes in. So if over time we have a customer that initially they give you this much money, and then down the line they give you this much more money, that's your LTV. Now, the longer we wait, the more money we make. So time is on our side. The same goes for the referrals. If over time we get one customer to talk to two customers, and then those two talk to two customers and introduce your product, and then they buy, then we have word of mouth. And we can actually measure that. So we measure that using what's called an NPS score. That's the Net Promoter Score. Because we want to find out for each of the products, which product is responsible to buy us time and which product is cutting time. Because if you have a product that has negative word of mouth, so where one person tells two friends, don't buy from this brand, they're really not good, and then those two friends say, well, I heard from my other friend, don't buy from this brand, they're not good. Now you have negative word of mouth. And some products cause that, and some products produce positive word of mouth. So we measure that using the Net Promoter Score. And here's how that looks like per product, because this is then how we decide what products to push. So if we're pushing the products that actually are great and that bring in more customers over time and that make time work for us, then all the pressure gets released, and the longer we wait, the more money we make, so we have more time to do more of the other right things. So how we measure that? Let's say product A, product B. Traditionally, we would look at a ROAS 1, and we had this exact situation where we have one product with a ROAS 5, one product with a ROAS 2. Now, traditionally, we would really push this product. But when we look at the LTV and when we look at the NPS score, then we can make decisions much more wisely, much more long-term. So, for example, here, we had an LTV of $50, and here we had an LTV of $60. So here already customers give us more money over time, but of course, we need to pay our ad costs, and it's really important to cover those two in the beginning. So that didn't really make the decision. But what actually really makes the impact here was the Net Promoter Score. So on this one, we had a -10, and on this one, we had a 50. Now think about that. The higher the number, the more likely people are to recommend the product to their friends. The lower the number, the less likely are people to recommend your product. And if the number is negative, then people actively reach out to their friends and tell you, don't buy from this brand. They're not good, and they produce negative word of mouth. So this is the exact situation that we had. And then we looked at, well, this product here, it actually has a lower ROAS on the very beginning, but the more we sell of this product, the more organic customers we have in the business coming over time, and those are massively profitable. So here's what we do to really grow the business to be massively more profitable. And that also, by the way, massively increases the value of your business if you want to buy it. Okay, so we've seen 50% increase in value of a business in just half a year. So that's something to note as well. We'll go into that in another video. But here are the steps. Very first, we do correct attribution. Then the blended ROAS for us is more important than the channel ROAS. And at last, we grow the brand funnel and focus on that rather than the sales funnel. Because that is what makes time work for us. The longer you wait, the more money you make. So those are the things we put in place into our businesses, and this is how we grow the brands that we work with. So if you're interested to learn more, just reach out to us. We can have a meeting, let's sit down and talk a little bit more about how this looks like and how this may apply to your business as well. Take care. Cheers.